The so-called hustle never sleeps. It's actually 1:15 where I am. Don't know if you can see the time here. It's just over 1:15 in the morning. Can you see the date as well? Can you see the date? Tuesday, the 4th of July that I'm making this video. I wanted to do a review of my sit down with Sandile Shezi. I'd like to start off by thanking Sandile Shezi for coming through on the Penuel Show. I'd like to thank, of course, the entire team. And I guess let me take this moment to thank Debza, Q, Sizwe, Khumutso, Uyenzi, and everyone who's been involved at the Penuel Show thus far. All the people that have supported us, that have been in the rooms, that have made the coffees, that have shared, that have subscribed, all our paying members, all the people that have viewed, all our guests, some of the dopest guests, of course, Vusi Tembegwayo, Dr. Umar Ifatunde, Ernst van Sale, Rob Hersoff, Rutendo Matinyarare, Ntlantla Lux, Waras, and everyone else who's been on the show. My first guest being my brother, Pensim Lojo. Thank you so much. We've just crossed 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, and it's thanks to all of you for your support. Thank you so much. I want to apologize to Sandile. When we had a chat, we had a meeting like the day before about filming. When we had a chat, I asked him for 30 minutes to just discuss forex and the allegations. And then for the rest of the time, we were going to speak about Arise and his foray into politics. Yes, as we spoke about forex, we spoke about the Global Forex Institute, we spoke about the allegations. I told my own stories for an hour and a half, and we literally discussed politics for 30 minutes. And in this video review, I'm not going to speak about the political side. I'm going to cover the first hour and a half, the bulk of the sit down and conversation. But I'd like to apologize to Sandile Shezi for chowing so much of his time speaking about that instead of Arise and the work that he's going to be doing in politics. And I'm really hoping that myself and him can sit again very soon and talk about speak about politics, speak about the political landscape, speak about 2024 and the work that they are doing, that they're going to be doing, and get him to speak about why he needs so many young people to jump on the train that he's on now and build what he's trying to build. So yeah, I wrote notes. Please allow me. Okay, so the first part was on how Sandile got into forex trading and launched GFI, and then he left, and then life after GFI. I did at some point say to him that we'll need to unpack some of this at some point later on. And I even asked for a day where we can get technical on forex trading. Not for that episode. I did ask for 30 minutes, but we went for so much longer. But there was a part where I was speaking about some of the technicalities of forex, the A book, the B book, some of the things that people have said that trade on MetaTrader, using certain brokers or brokerages, introducing brokers, commission, how the graphs fluctuate and whether they delayed, depositing money, trying to withdraw money from deposits. Those are some of the technical things that I'm hoping I can sit down with him at some point and unpack so that he can say, look, this is a scam, this is not a scam, this is true, this is not true. Not from himself, but from the forex trading market, the retail trading forex market, specifically in South Africa, for a lot of kids to learn and to understand. So I apologize that we didn't get technical. I saw some of the comments saying I don't know anything about forex, which is kind of lame. And it's not for me to know forex. Guys can go and learn forex on the internet. You can go and learn forex from people that teach and train people in forex trading. You can go to school. Some of us study economics, finance in school. So we were introduced to foreign exchange reserves, foreign exchange trading, stocks, shares, etc. in varsity. So by the time this thing blew up, of course, we had some kind of basic information, and then we just got to further our education and information in that regard later on. But I apologize for not going deeper on that, and I'm hoping that to Sandile, maybe some other people will come through. A couple of months ago, I spoke to Ref Wayne via Instagram, and we said we'd sit down at some point and speak. I want to say this. I know this is important because shout out to Podcast and Chill. Shout out to Mac G and his entire team. Guys, people like myself are not chasing Podcast and Chill. The guys have done insanely well in South Africa, on the continent, even globally. I am not chasing podcast and chill. The person that inspired me to get into podcasting was Joe Rogan in America. Today we've got Lex Friedman, we've got Stephen Bartlett. I think these guys were also inspired by Joe Rogan and the type of conversations that he has. So I've been pushing in that direction. And if you listen to my content, that's the type of content I'm trying to push. I've criticized some of Podcast and Chill's episode, and some of the chillers have come for me. I've said some of my views on MacG and people have attacked me. Guys, I admire MacG and his hustle. I'm not trying to chase after MacG. That is not what I'm trying to do. And the fact that he sat down with forex traders last week is pure coincidence. We have got 15 episodes of the Penuel Show sitting back to back. And if you watch the episodes, you will see that I cut my hair. You will see that there's times when I have a beard, etc. to show you. We don't time these things to wait, oh, is there a scandal coming? Let's then play this thing. It doesn't work like that. There was a time when Nota was trending. And after he trended, we were dropping an old episode we shot at the time. And then it looks as if we're trying to ride waves. That is not the case. We have got episodes sitting. It is like that. Gates and McKenzie came through at set with Waras a couple of weeks before that. And it just so happened that Gates and McKenzie comes through and then Waras comes through. We do not plan these things. They happen. And I apologize that you may feel there's some type of, it's lame. We are not competing. The online space is big enough for everyone. If you want to do reviews of forex traders after Podcast and Chill, by all means. If you want after Podcast and Chill to sit with some of the traders, please do so. There's nothing wrong with that. People might say you're copying MacG. It's fine. The bottom line is you've got a platform, you'd like to discuss something. And if you feel like maybe because it's trending, let's speak about it. There's nothing wrong with that. But we are not trying to do that. And it makes me sad that so many people in this country in particular are so destructive. On YouTube, on Twitter, trying to get people that are not even playing the same game to almost seem as if they're beefing when they're not. Please do better, I beg you. We are trying so hard to build decent platforms, alternative media platforms. You know, when you watch SABC News and you watch ENCA and you watch Newsroom Africa and then you're like, oh, these people are chasing the same story. It's lame. And what it does is it actually exposes your brain and how you think. And how you're so sad in your little corner where you're sitting that you can't appreciate what we're trying to do. All of us. Myself, MacG, Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, Nkululeko Nkeu, DJ Sbu, and everyone else who's in this game. We are trying to get people to sit down and tell their stories. Whatever the story may be, I may be a different type of energy to a MacG, a different type of energy from Sizwe, different type of energy from Nkululeko, from Ulungelo, different type of energy from anyone else. But you guys want to, I don't know if it's like a Twitter culture or I don't know what toxic thing that you guys have, but please stop it. It was a pure coincidence and I just wanted to clear that up. I have spoken to Ref Wayne months ago, and if at any given time, if he's ready, if he is able to sit down, we will sit. Not because I'm trying to copy anyone, but because these are some of the conversations I want to have. Hopefully in time, I don't know, I'll sit with the Julius Malema, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, Floyd Shibambu. Maybe even I'll sit with the Cyril Ramaphosa, Thabo Mbeki, Jacob. I don't know. There's many people I'd like to sit with and have a conversation with. And if it so happens that at the same time they're speaking to someone else, that is just it. I am not chasing anyone here. I'm not even chasing Joe Rogan. I'm doing my own thing. I've got my own platform. I have my own unique questions and conversations to have. And I think the people that support the work we're doing understand that. And it's become so sad when there are so many good people supporting the work we're doing. And then there's these few little trolls who are there to kind of distract us from what we're doing. Because we're actually not there for you. We're there for the masses of people who learn, who appreciate, who are inspired. And not for you guys. And I hope at some point, besides just blocking people, some of these trolls will be exposed. Whether they are robots or whether they are real people. So that they can disappear into whatever dark little corner that they're in and stay away from the rest of us that are actually trying to progress in this life, trying to uplift and empower and educate people in this life so that they can have better lives instead of having miserable lives like some of these people in the comments. Very sad. It's very, very sad that stuff like that still happens. I really appreciate it, and I want to send a shout out to Sandile again for I'm very big on education. My mom was a school teacher, or she still is a school teacher for her whole life. My brother was a school teacher. So many aunts, uncles in my family have been teachers in some regard. And I try in a lot of the platforms. It's something that I used to say to DJ Sbu on the Hustlers Corner last year, and even on the virtual Mkuku, that we try really hard to educate people. Sbu's very big on inspiration, very big on buy local, support black entrepreneurs. He wears local clothing. He pushes local brands. We're very big on positive content that is educational and uplifting. And I think one of the things we did in this episode, I hope you appreciate, is we try to simplify certain concepts. What is foreign exchange? What is forex trading? How is it different from share trading or stock trading? We spoke about leverage. Sandile Shezi went and actually explained and made even an example on what leverage is and why forex is so lucrative, but why it's also so destructive, because leverage can allow you to make a lot of money very quickly, or can allow you to lose a lot of money very quickly as well. Education. And we did touch on this in the episode, that I wish, something that I've said to DJ Sbu as well before, that I wish schools can introduce this extramural called hustling, entrepreneurship, financial education, whatever you want to call it. And I wrote in some of my in my notes here that if every school in the country could have this entrepreneurship, financial education extramural, similar to chess, similar to debating, similar to drama, where kids at break, before school, after school, maybe for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours every day, are sitting, reading books like Rich Dad, Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, reading George S. Clason's The Richest Man in Babylon, reading The Ascent of Money by Niall Ferguson, reading so many books out there, Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and then discuss these books on money, and then go phone, laptop, computer, and then create demo accounts. I know when I was at Rhodes University, I think first year economics students, and then I think some of the seniors, they have these demo accounts. A demo account is like using fake money online, but to trade stocks in real time. So it's not real money, but the way that shares are moving is in real time. So they give you a certain amount of money. I know on MetaTrader, which is like the premier forex trading app, there's also a demo account there where they give you a certain amount of money, and then you trade it as if it's real money, and you watch how this moves. And then there was this competition, I think nationally, if I'm not mistaken, where the kids who had the best demo accounts, who performed the best within a certain period, they would win some prize, or they'd go travel somewhere. I don't quite remember. But having in high schools, maybe even in primary school, these kids that have demo accounts and begin trading. Because what that does, shares, forex, it then teaches you to start watching what's happening at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, what's happening at the NASDAQ, at the New York Stock Exchange, what's happening in Hong Kong, what's happening in France. I think it's the DAX or the CAX, I'm not sure. What's happening at the London Stock Exchange, what's happening around the world. And then for kids that start going deeper, you realize how politics affects trading. So what is the president announcing? What's happening in this country? There's protesting in France. There's load shedding in South Africa, etc., etc. And you're like, oh, snap. And kids start learning what's happening in the real world. Oh, ShopRite has just expanded. Oh, Naspers has just listed in Amsterdam. Oh, this new black company has just listed on the stock exchange. Or Dangote Industries has just listed in London. And kids start understanding the real world. They understand small brands, big brands, and how they fit into the global world. And then they start studying some of the business people, some of the CEOs, the CFOs, the owners, how shares work, how net worth works. They start reading Forbes. They start reading Bloomberg, watching Bloomberg. They start watching CNBC, etc. And they plug into the economy and business. And Sandile Shezi was one of those kids as well, exposed to people like Aliko Dangote. He spoke about Tony, I think, Emilemu, if I'm not mistaken. You've got Rabiu, who's also in Nigeria. He was seen as the next Dangote. Mike Adenuga, I spoke about Strive Masiyiwa, dollar billionaire from Zimbabwe. You've got Patrice Motsepe in South Africa. You've got the Mansours. You've got the Sawiris. You've got, I think she's wanted now. She was the child of Jose dos Santos, who was the president of Angola. Isabella dos Santos, who was the wealthiest woman in Angola and the wealthiest woman simultaneously in Portugal. You've got Foloruncho, who was the wealthiest black woman in the planet. And you start tracking these people and knowing them. The Johan Ruperts, the Christo Visas, the Doji family in East Africa, etc. So I think that's fundamentally important. And not only do these kids start trading demo accounts, but then they start looking around themselves. And in these entrepreneurship extramural groups, during school, after school, they start saying, how can we make money in real time? Can we start selling t-shirts at school? Can we maybe push for entrepreneurship Fridays? So that as a club, every Friday we're selling cake, we're selling boerewors rolls. What do kids need in school? Maybe schools, maybe they need textbooks. So entrepreneurship Fridays, we sell books. Maybe we cover your books for you at a certain fee. Maybe we sell secondhand clothing, get kids at school to sell secondhand clothing for the kids that can't afford expensive blazers and the like. Sell maybe backpacks for the school, maybe branded, and such things. And then some of those kids in those clubs can be like, look, we will run the Valentine's dance. We will run the spring dance. We will host other events. We will run the entire matric farewell and maybe even do the matric jackets. And they literally at school level, primary school, high school, start hustling and making money and expand outside of school. Instead of entrepreneurship Fridays at school, let's also do entrepreneurship Saturdays where we're selling in town. I remember when we would fundraise when I was at Newcastle High, whether we were fundraising for rugby, whether we were fundraising for the choir, especially when we were traveling overseas, we had a European tour in 2002, all the way back then. We would sell boerewors rolls outside Pick and Pay. I remember us with our rugby coach, Mr. Harold Gous, going to cut grass at Fidelity. They do security and cash in transit. We went to go and cut grass so that they could sponsor us. Maybe going to wash cars somewhere, etc. Making money. And these kids in primary school and high school, supported by their parents, supported by their teachers, start learning how to make money, start learning how business, the economy, stock exchanges work, start plugging in, start learning sales, etc. And you create this amazing culture where young kids start making money. And then today we've got the online world. You've got Tuba Pusha, who's one of the biggest hustlers online. She teaches on TikTok. She's teaching on YouTube. If you can get kids like that to go online and then start creating from high school podcasts, start creating TikTok accounts, start doing these challenges, and make sure that even on sports days, they're the ones running the tuck shop. They're the ones managing the gate and they make commission and they're making money. And some of those kids maybe in high school can start even buying cars, start investing in property and teach other kids. And when you're awarding kids with their colors, honors, blazers for saying, look, this child has made a provincial sports team, this child has made national debates, this child has traveled overseas with horse riding, whatever. You can congratulate some of these kids and offer them colors, honors, etc. to say this child this year made 100,000 Rand for the year. This child actually made 1 million Rand and they are competing with other kids nationally. And these are the future of our entrepreneurs in this country. And everyone knows these kids hustle. While other kids are making provincial national sports, while other kids are top in academics, at the school, regionally, provincially, nationally, other kids are learning how to make money. And some of these kids that are making money can sponsor the sports teams. Some of them can sponsor the choir. Some of them can fund some of the other kids' fees at the school and say, look, I'm in grade 11. I make 5,000 Rand a month, doing these things at school, doing these things outside school, making money online. But then I also pay some of the kids' school fees. Imagine having like a grade 10 pupil who actually sponsors like the first soccer, first rugby, first netball, first hockey team. And you've literally got the kids' brand or you've got their podcast or whatever on the jersey. I think that would be so dope. And we have the ability to do that. And we need to try and push for that. So I hope that concept comes out at some point and we can start having conversations on how can some of us come together. I made a mention, this was in high school. I just forgot the name of the channel, but it was flighted on CakeNet. It's available on YouTube. I'll try and find the name again and maybe I'll put in the comments where this young Afrikaans guy who's become an entrepreneur, very successful, went around various schools, Afrikaans schools, CakeNet, etc. And they had this challenge where they were getting a lot of the kids to start hustling, entrepreneurship, etc. And there was this young colored boy who went and won and made a lot of money within a certain period. And they had all these episodes where they were interviewing the kids, asking them about their businesses, etc. And I think we need to scale that to a lot of schools. And I hope at some point I can sit with that gentleman. I've forgotten his name. I'm going to find the channel. I'm going to put the link in the description or in the comments. I'm going to put his name again because I know I made a video about it. I want to find that gentleman. I want us to speak about it. And I want us to see if we can get other people to come in and help us scale this thing and make it great. If the least I can do is highlight it, if the least I can do is market it, I will do that, and hopefully it will catch fire so that other kids can do the same. Let's see where I am here. Sandile was exposed early. It's one of my notes. And exposure is very dangerous. I had a dream at some point of taking children from villages, taking children from townships around South Africa. I decide how I rate which kids I take, fly them if I can, bus them if I can, get them to spend a weekend in Johannesburg, spend a weekend in Durban, spend a weekend in Cape Town, depending on where the place is. Get them to stay in a decent hotel, get them to visit big businesses, get them to meet certain known people, take them to fancy restaurants, and plant the seed in their heads where they are now inspired. And when they go back to their village, to their township, they are like, I have seen the best out there, thanks to Penuel, and I will now hustle. I will put in work at school. I will hustle in my community. I will get involved and be a leader, etc. But I realized that one of the dangers of that thing was some of these kids are going to go back home and for the first time realize that they're poor and struggling. And maybe all of a sudden now the cabbage and putu that their parents are dishing them is not good enough. Now all of a sudden they're like, my shirt is torn. And it plants the seed where if it doesn't inspire them, it demotivates them that we're actually struggling and we're poor and my parents are nobodies. And it turns them into these animals. Some of them who may even go into crime and be like, I will get back to that place, but whatever it takes, including crime. And it's very dangerous. Luckily for Sandile, exposure was amazing. And for a lot of us, exposure is amazing. It's that first time you travel to a private school because you're part of a debating team or you're part of a sports team. I mean, when I made KZN rugby under 16, I was in grade 11 at the time. When you play with the boys from Hilton, Glenwood, Kersney, Maritzburg College, some of the top schools in KZN, and you speak to them about school. When I traveled with the choir, the Northern KZN youth choir, and you meet kids from the Eastern Cape youth choir, from, I think it was the East Rand youth choir at the time, kids from the Western Cape, and you meet kids from these top schools, and you're like, there are other kids out there who are brilliant, amazing academics, amazing at sports, amazing at culture, and it makes you want to strive to become better. And I think it's one of the things that drove me. It's one of the things that drove my brother as well to excel at the highest level. And that's why even today, if you look at some of the kids we network and mingle with, some of them are from the top schools in the country because we were exposed at a young age to top kids around the country. And both myself and my brother, thanks to my mom and other people that sponsored, we got to travel overseas at a young age. So we kind of are comfortable in the world and with people that are high performance, high achieving, and we wanted to be the same. Sandile Shezi was exposed to people like Aliko Dangote, who was a seed that was planted in my brain. Robert Smith, who was the wealthiest, I think he might still be the wealthiest black man in America. Of course, Oprah Winfrey at some point. I've spoken about Folo Runcho. I don't know if her surname is Alikija or something along those lines. Isabel dos Santos. Some of these people, Patrice Motsepe. You get exposed to these people and you're like, I think I can make it. And you start on this journey because the seed has been planted to start learning. And then kids like Sandile Shezi, people like myself, I remember a brother of mine, Uzamani Ngumalo. We've been speaking about money. Tumelo Muletsane. Zamani, we come with him from Newcastle. Tumelo, I met him at Rhodes. He went to JP Boys High. We were on this thing of we're going to become billionaires, boys. We're going to be rich. And when there was a big story, we'd share the knowledge. Today, there's Peshe Duma. There's Siabulela Nganga. There's, of course, DJ Sbusiso Liope. There's Lungisa Chele. And other Tutuzane Zuma, Winston Innes, Ntlantla Lux, Sandile Shezi himself. There's been Gerrit Fourie from Newcastle. I had this young boy's name from Grahamstown. Ruan Pagel or Pagel. These young, ambitious, Jeff Wall in Grahamstown, these young, ambitious gents who are very hungry. Even someone like Nicolette Mashile, who's a financial fitness bunny today and who's become super successful. of course, as a presenter on Daily Teta as well. Hungry people, Melody Mia. Hungry, passionate people who had these seeds planted from a young age. And you create this network of high performance kids who want to become very, very successful and very, very big. Sorry, guys, Shisala. It's very hot where I'm at. Today, the temperature was 36 degrees. I was walking around with my mom and we were sweating like dogs because it was humid as well. So I'm just switching on the aircon. I'm just saying exposure is dangerous, but for some of us, exposure was everything. Like I said, it's visiting that private school. It's dating that girl from a rich family. It's that timer in the neighborhood who owns a mapas, a matex, etc., who plants the seed and then they propel you onto this journey. I remember Uzamani Ngumalo for the longest time on his WhatsApp status. He might still have it now. Everybody has a dream. What if that dream comes true? And that's a quote from Jack Ma of Alibaba, who's disappeared now. Scandalous conspiracy theories. But if you listen to Jack Ma's story of how he wasn't a great academic, he was a young guy with a dream. And when you meet these young guys with a dream, you push. Sandile Shezi, just a kid, parents were teachers, was supposed to go and studied engineering, but he was exposed at a young age to kids from families that are quite well off, dropped off in like fancy cars. And he was like, I'm a kid with a dream and I'll make it happen. And then he started on the journey. And this links again to this financial education, entrepreneurship, extramural at school, where he was selling muffins. A story that so many people have said, yeah, but his friends said that's a fake story. We don't know that. And who are these friends? But he was hustling, worked at a call center. He was a waiter at some point. He got into network marketing. People that have been selling Tupperware, Amway, Herbalife, Long Rich. People that are hustling. There are so many of us that have got all the badges. Myself and Uzamani at some point were selling Boerewors rolls in Newcastle, Kaya Lounge, Kaya Res, Boerewors rolls at the Grahamstown Arts Fest. I remember my brother and Uspark, who's an amazing actor. Now, again, being in this network of talented guys. And Uspark, he went to Maritzburg College, where Usanele Ngema, another talented human being, went to school there as well. Ospaki, they were selling these Zimbos t-shirts at Rhodes because there's so many Zimbabwean kids there. I've sold t-shirts, etc. Like, it's this whole network thing. And I think because I'm such a fan of Sandile, because I've studied his story, because I was involved in the forex game, because, you know, Jordan Gecko in Wall Street, the movie Wall Street, and in Wall Street Money Never Sleeps with Shia LaBeouf and Josh Brolin, who does the voice of Thanos. He says a fisherman always sees another fisherman from afar. And maybe that's why I was so excited in the conversation and the episode, and why I wanted to tell my story, because I'm like, bro, I see you. Because I haven't had a chance to sit down with Sandile and chat and engage and be like, dog, I see you. You are part of my tribe. When I speak about the hookup dinner, Olebu, Dr. Life's Good, guys that have been hustling for a while, Omzozogile Sony, the People's Fund, Brown Sense, Luyanda Chafta. There are so many of us, half nerd, half academic, half sporty, half jock, half weird, some ugly, some good looking, dark skin, light skinned, female, male, South African, from the African continent. Bro, like we're the same tribe. Shwiro, Kushata, Webster, is running hardware, retail, wholesale in Cape Town. When you find your tribe and people that like, I see you, dog. And from a young age, we were hungry and we wanted to do more. Lakimbombi. Like, I'm just throwing these names, like these people that I know, and there are so many more that I've met. I mean, Talipani Banks now with Analytics X. His episode is still going to drop at some point. Anyways, sorry. Going on a tangent like I did in the episode because I was excited. Super excited. At the age of 26, I founded Penuel's Fish and Chips. It lasted for a year before it collapsed. I didn't have enough cash flow. I met Robbie Brosen, Fernando Duarte, the two guys that founded Nando's. Huge success. Nando's Chicken, Portuguese chicken. Boys from Wits, I think. They told me they started their business after varsity in their early 20s or in their mid-20s because they wanted something else. And I remember Robbie saying, you know, I see a fire in you that I saw in myself. He linked me up with an amazing gentleman called Carlo Gonzaga, who founded Scooter's Pizza at the age of 26. I was 26 at that time when I founded my business. And Carlo Gonzaga was like, you have this fire that I remember, because I think he had working at Debonair's. His father owned a Debonair's. He founded Scooters, and then he built it into Taste Holdings, which is a huge business now. And many years ago, I remember they breached their 1 billion rand income in a year. He brought in Starbucks. He brought in Domino's Pizza, NWJ Jewelers, St. Elmo's Pizza. He bought the fish and chip company, I think, for 70 million rand, etc. When you find your tribe, and I think even people like Rob Hersoff, people like Gayton McKenzie, people like Tutuzane Zuma, some of these guys, I think they watch some of my content, and some of them want to come on the platform and have a conversation and tell their story in a space that seems safe, where I can ask tough questions, but in a diplomatic, considerate way. But some of them, you realize that I think this guy is part of my tribe. I see him. I see you, dog. I've got Borislav, Bobby Petkov from Mitmac Motors, Pretoria. People that are like, I see you, bro. And I meet so many of these people as well that want to sit with me. Black, white, Indian, Eastern Asian, Sherman Lamb, running $1 million business in Shenzhen and in Hong Kong. Studied with him in primary school. Then he went to St. Dominic's Academy in Newcastle. Then he went to Michael House. Rob is off school. Rob loves Michael House, and I always tell him Michael House is a shit school. But I apologize. Michael House is pretty dope. My aunt, Auntie Rose, worked at Michael House forever. Auntie Rose Nyaktanda. And we love Michael House. Uzipo, one of Tutuzane's close mates, is at Michael House, and I always treat him, fuck Michael House. Sorry, anyways, tangent again. So you meet these people, man, and you realize that you're part of the same tribe. And listening to Sandile's story, I think, just raised all of that again in me, and it rejuvenated, the ambition and the hunger. I remember I had hashtag 100 million at some point, so I was like, I want to make 100 million rand by the age of 50, 500,000 rand a month. And I apologize to everyone who's maybe new to the Penuel Show. I apologize to everyone who's maybe new to me, my content. I have conversations with people. I don't do interviews. I think if people want to do interviews, they can go to mainstream media. They can go to certain platforms. I don't do interviews. I do conversations. And yes, I will apologize that I interrupt certain guests quite a lot, especially when I'm excited. And I apologize for that. I sometimes tell a lot of my own stories, especially when I'm inspired, because I'm like, what, dog? I need to tell you. And I apologize. With that being said, look, I'm teachable. If you've been watching my content from 2022 to now, I'd like to think I've improved a lot, because I read and I listen and I watch. When people are like, look, don't interrupt that much, I consider that. And I try, especially when a guest is on a roll, to let them tell their story. I try, even when I've interrupted, to apologize. I do apologize. And even when I said to Sandile, I apologized many times for interrupting. And I try to go back to the point the guest was trying to make, so that we don't go too far away. We go back, and I try to make sure that they cover some of the things we're meant to do. I do apologize. But unlike a lot of interviewers out there, I am not an interviewer. I'm a conversationalist. And I have a lot of content myself. That's why I sometimes have to come to my own channel and make content and do reviews like this one. I am not some person who sits there and, oh, so what happened then? Oh, that is interesting. Which, this becomes the ironic part. Part of the reason people will watch platforms like mine, Lex Friedman, Joe Rogan, is particularly because we've got stuff to say. We've got shit to share. We've got stories, boy. And we're on top of our game. We're well read, well researched. You can almost bring any topic and we can mention something. Politics, finance, economics. You can speak about schooling and education. You can speak about certain businesses, certain individuals, certain experiences. We've got a lot to share. Yes, of course, when you've invited a guest over, the hospitable thing to do is to let the guest speak a lot. And again, I will apologize to my brother Sandile. I will apologize to so many of my other guests. And I'm hoping that for a lot of them, they will come back and we'll get to speak more. And I will try to hold back even more. But it's a conversation. And what happens with me, which maybe some of you have not paid attention to, is sometimes when I tell a relatable story, it is not to make it about me. It's not, oh, look at me. Listen to. It's to try and disarm the guest, to let them know I empathize and identify with what you're going through. I'll give an example. I asked Sandile Shezi about the allegations, about scamming people, etc. Firstly, he said categorically that no hawks have ever been after him, which was one of the questions, one of the things that have come out in media. No hawks have ever been after him. He also stated categorically, there are some cases that are in court, there are some cases that have been kicked out by the court. He said that. If you were paying attention, you would hear that he answered those things. Some of the things he didn't go into detail with because the cases are in court. When a case is in court, now when you go and you state certain things on any platform, that stuff can be used against you in a court of law if you're not aware. So it is very important to state, and that's why even with me, I will not hamper on that because I understand the legal process. And you cannot expect me to go and hamper someone when I've invited them as a guest to have a conversation, because I want to invite so many other people and they must know that the Penuel Show is a safe space. You will not come there and be trapped. You will not come there and be harassed. You will not come. That's why I even said that I had asked Sandile's permission. If he had said, I do not want to discuss forex, I do not want to discuss the allegations, I cannot discuss that. It's one of two things now. One, I will ask him, look, even though you don't want to speak about it, can I please mention on camera that I did ask and you preferred to not discuss it? Can I please ask for that? And if not that at all, then I will make my own video and say, look, I understand that many people had questions around these things. Unfortunately, I couldn't ask those questions. And then I will state either because the guest said so, or I'll be like, look, it was not the platform for that. People need to be comfortable, even if I do not like the person, I disagree with their politics, their view on life. They must be comfortable to come through and speak. I can call a leader of AfriForum. I can call a Pan-Africanist like Dr. Umar. I can call a Zimbabwean like Rutendo Matinyarare. I can call someone who wants illegal foreigners away like Ike Kumalo. I can call Nhlanhla Lux even when he was still under Operation Tudula. I can call anyone and they feel safe. Lex Friedman has done that so well on his platform where he invites people with differing views, and he lets them speak very politely and diplomatically. He disagrees with them, he shares his views, why? But he allows the guest to be. That is something that people need to learn. But I tell relatable stories to disarm the guest. I asked Shezi about allegations, etc. And then I told my story so that he is aware that the person he's conversing with has tried something and he's failed. And people have accused me of things. So that he's like, okay, this person's not trapping me. And this is someone who's kind of got an idea of what I've gone through. This is someone who can relate. And what that does, which you won't get in interviews, especially mainstream, it gets the guest to calm down, be at peace, and offload. And in that offloading, we may learn some things that they wouldn't disclose somewhere else, where they feel threatened, where they feel like they put on the spot, etc. I think that's very, very important. And hopefully at some point you guys will understand this and you will appreciate it. If you don't, I apologize for that. But like I said, I am constantly working on my craft. I am teachable. I'm constantly learning. And where I feel I've erred, I will apologize. I listened to 1.5 hours of the interview. I will do the other 30 minutes and maybe I'll do another episode, another video speaking about the political aspect of Usandile's video. But I just wanted to touch on that. And I did tell a lot of my stories. Usandile did speak. I did interrupt him and I apologize. And I'm hoping that I can sit down with him again. That was our first sit down, and I was excited because I'm a fan of his. I'm a fan of the work he's done, even though I have my own issues with forex trading, even though I've had my own experiences with forex trading, and I try to make sure that he answers as many of the questions as possible. What else did I want to say here? I wanted to mention parents, the power of parents, and Usandile also touched on that one of the things that he hopes with this story is parents can loosen up and support their kids' dreams. Very rightly, a lot of our parents have not been exposed to a lot of the things that we bring to them. What do my parents know about podcasting? What does my mom know about making money off YouTube, off TikTok? We have to understand these people don't know that. Our parents, a lot of our parents understand being a nurse, being a teacher, being a police officer, if you're smart, being a lawyer, being a doctor, being an engineer, being a chartered accountant. If you are a leadership activist, you might be a politician. Maybe if you're lucky, you might be a DJ. If you're sporty, you could be a sports star, soccer player, rugby player, cricket player, etc. That's what they know. And then maybe you can start a business. They know some. A lot of the new businesses they don't know. Telling your parents about drop shipping. What's that? I have an online store. What's that? I'm trading forex. What's that? So you have to kind of win your parents over. And Sandile was like, look, my parents believed in me. His father bought him his first laptop, which he said, and I think that's pretty dope. His father said, I don't know what you're doing, but here's something to push you along. Parents made a mistake, of course. In retrospect, it was a blessing. But they gave him money for a year, tuition, accommodation, etc. And then he went and traded that money and made money. A lot of our parents, and I have to give a shout out, invest in their kids. We maybe don't speak about it enough. A lot of parents out there, some are well off, some are not. They give their kids that 10,000 rand, at 50,000 rand. We say, Tanami Pusha, see what you can do. Kids go in stock. Bags, handbags. Some go in stock, maybe t-shirts and get them printed. Some of the kids maybe go and get a mobile kitchen. Some parents, maybe when they hear there's an Uber craze, they tell their child, look, I'll buy you the Uber. I think Upeshe Aduma spoke about that on the Penuel Show, which, Uber business, I think from his mom, not sure. Shout out to the parents that try. A lot of kids get that lump sum because their parents have retired from work. As a police officer, as a traffic cop, as a teacher, and you get that 500,000, 1 million, 2 million. And your parents are like, Khata, now 200,000. And the child goes and some of them blow the money. Some maybe start a little record label. Some go and start a little business. Some go and trade stocks. Some go and put it in a money account. Could be whatever. But shout out to those parents. Some kids get a windfall. I spoke to Gift and Duma about this. A windfall when their parent passes away and there's that life insurance payout. So you might get 500,000, 1 million. And a lot of kids become millionaires because of their parents passing away. Unfortunately, if you don't have the financial education, a lot of the kids become victims of I blew it. But shout out to those parents. And we need to tell more of these stories because a lot of, especially black parents, because a lot of the Asian parents do really well, not just in leaving money, but giving their kids skills on how to trade, run a business, etc. A lot of white parents, Jewish parents especially, train their kids, run business, make money, etc. But there are black parents who are trying. And shout out to those parents. Aliko Dangote tells the story of getting, I may be mistaken, but 150,000 US dollars from his maternal uncle on his mother's side, Dantata. And the Dantatas have been the wealthiest Western Africans for like 3 generations. Aliko Dangote comes from good stock. Gave him $150,000, paid it off quickly, went into trading commodities in real time. Donald Trump tells a funny story about his father gave him a little loan of $1 million. His father was in the property business as well, so it wasn't just a loan, but his father schooled him on the property business, especially buildings, complexes, etc. So Donald Trump is not like fully self-made, especially from a skills perspective. So we need to tell more of these stories. I think it's very important. Okay, I think I'm going to split this into 2 videos because this video's gone on for long. I think I'll stop there. I've still got like a couple more notes and I see I'm on 45 minutes and I don't want you guys to like, Penuel, this video's too long. And it's 2 o'clock in the morning where I am now. 2 o'clock in the morning. Jeez. Anyways, and I have to sleep because I have to travel in a couple of hours. I'm in South Korea, in Seoul, the capital city of South Korea. It is my 3rd time in South Korea. The first time was in 2014. Second time was in 2015. Got to bring my mom here. First time overseas. My mom is a huge fan of K-series, huge fan of K-pop, especially BTS. She loves South Korea, and I thought it would be fitting with the few blessings that we have to bring her here and make her dream a reality. I wish my brother and sister were here, but they are here in spirit. They've been very supportive. They came to drop us off at the airport. I thank them very much, and I think my mom had a good time. We went to visit Loti World. We were there at the Loti Mall. There's a video that I've dropped, or I'm dropping, about that. Got to see Seoul Sky, the tallest building in South Korea. We got to visit Itaewon. My mom wanted to see the food market there with all the restaurants, international restaurants there. We are staying in Myeongdong, and then we'll be visiting Nkunzino, Africa in China, where they are based, for a couple of days as well. So it's an Asian trip. And then we head back to Johannesburg in South Africa. But I think part of us being able to travel is from the support that you guys give us. The paying members, everyone who has clicked the join button and contributes money to not just the Penuel Show, but also to Penuel the Black Pen. People that have bought my books. I've got 13 books that I've written. Everyone who has bought a book. People that have booked online consultations with me, where for 30 minutes or an hour we chat about your personal issues, your hustles, your career, etc. For everyone who's maybe attended a speaking gig that I've done, for everyone who's booked me to come speak and has paid me, for everyone who has donated, there's people that have donated directly to my account, people that have donated goods, clothing, people who want to work with me, people who network with me, people that join me in some of the charity work that we do and donate money to some of the lives that we change. Some of the friends that I've made in the past year, I mean, DJ Spoo goes without saying, you know. And maybe that's going to be one of the stories that I'm going to tell when I make a follow-up video, because there's the Mark Zuckerberg story that I discussed with Sandile Shezi, and I want to re-emphasize that story because I think it's a very powerful and educational story for everyone. But for everyone who's supported me, man, to my mom, who's been my biggest supporter from birth, biggest inspiration, biggest funder of a lot of my dreams, even when she didn't understand them. You know, she's put in some money when I went into Penuel's Fish and Chips, when I went into my trucking business, when I went into small loans, even now with my podcasting hustle. You know, she watches a lot of my videos. She watches my brother's videos. She believes in us so much. She's bought my books. She's helped sell some of my books. My mom was like the original hustler when I was growing up, selling juice, a bit of network marketing, I think, with Amway. She used to sell where I stayed in Newcastle in Central, close to the park. There used to be weddings. She used to go and sell ice cream and I think cigarettes and other things there. She sold handbags, secondhand clothing, you know, trying to push for her 3 kids. Myself, my brother Pence, and my sister Penrose. And she's inspired us a lot. She's inspired me a lot. She didn't have businesses, but she was my first inspiration of what a hustler is. And I think as her son, this is the little I can do to thank my mom outside of trying to be a good child, outside of giving her amazing grandkids. You know, I think I owe her more because I remember she said each of us must give her 7. So I'm short 1, but maybe I can push a bit more. We'll see. Outside of giving her amazing grandkids, you know, the trips we've taken to Cape Town with my sister back in 2015, the trips we took, I think last year to Durban with her sisters, u-Aunt Rita, Unde, u-Aunt Cynthia, Usinti. The trips we took to Durban with my brother and my sister, flying for the first time to PE, Gqeberha, when my brother was graduating, getting on the Greyhound for the first time, coming to my graduation, traveling around South Africa. My brother took her to, I think, I could be mistaken, Eswatini and Mozambique, I'm not sure. But we've tried to be good kids. We've tried to be an example to her. We're trying to be good parents to our children, to her grandchildren. And we're trying to be an example, man, to everyone who's a testament or everyone who's a witness to our story. We're not special people. My mom is from Ekvugeni, you know, close to Mnambit in KZN. My dad is from Mpopomeni, the township Yase Hawik. They met, they moved to Ematadeni township in Newcastle. They had us, my brother and I were born in Ematadeni. My sister got to be born in a private hospital later on in 1998 in Newcastle. My mom comes from humble beginnings, like hut to shack to 4-room to then buying her property in Arbor Park in Newcastle, in the suburbs, to buying a beautiful home in Central, you know, that we're managing now, to moving her to Joburg, where she lives with us now. And where we get to be together as a family. Family first, I think, is the first tattoo my brother got on his thigh. So gay. Family first. But we hope we can inspire you in our stories. We hope we can inspire you with the sit-downs. You know, Sandile Shezi becomes the latest story to inspire so many people. He has been so inspirational over the years. So inspirational. Getting kids to pick up a phone, put in a little bit of money, learn how to trade, make money, lose money, but learn. You know, it becomes a gateway drug that if you can make money off your phone, you know, I'm making money off my phone here, making a video. Other people are TikToking. Other people are selling online. Other people are drop shipping. Bapush are constantly dropping hacks on TikTok. So I just want to say thank you. Again, thank you to Sandile Shezi. Thank you to all the forex traders. Ujabulani Ngobo, Cashflow, Abo Prince Mazibugo, Abo Ref Wayne, and all these guys. People can call them scammers, fraudsters. Some people may have lost money, etc. I'm not sure. I don't know. I've not investigated. I cannot speak definitively. Those with cases have opened the cases. The cases are ongoing, etc. But in that story, there's so much to learn. There's so much inspiration. And I hope that you guys focus on the inspiration. Musa Maswanganyi speaks about, and I quote him, chew the meat, spit out the bones. That's the whole point of this life. Not everyone is going to be good and bad. You can speak about Gayton McKenzie. He's an ex-convict. Sure, there's something to learn in that, what not to do. And then there's so much to learn about his recovery and his comeback and what he's doing now. Even with some of us, I've made mistakes. I still owe people money. I'm still trying to pay them back how I can because of my mistakes. And I'm learning and I'm trying to be better, trying to do better. Sandile Shezi, DJ Waras recently, Gayton McKenzie recently, and all the other stories that we've had are meant to inspire and educate and uplift and show you that we are ordinary human beings that are just trying. And you can also do the same and transform your life. And then try and transform the lives of those around you. And then in transforming the lives of those around you, if you can create jobs, if you can invest in people, if you can sponsor people, and then if you can tell your story so that other people can be inspired. It can't be 2023, we're still only speaking about Oprah Winfrey and Dangote when there are so many amazing stories we can tell. And I'm hoping on the Penuel Show that I get to unearth so many more people that you have never heard of that are doing amazing work. And you guys can be like, we're dope as well. As South Africans, all races, all genders. As Africans, hopefully getting more Africans as time goes by to sit, conversate, not interview, have chats, speak about our stories. I tell mine, they tell theirs. And if we can get more time, unpack everything. I appreciate all of you very much. We've hit over 100,000 subscribers. And we started in August. Last year, I think, almost at the same time as my sit down on Podcast and Chill with Mac G and Soul. You know, a couple of months, I started in February, DJ Sbu. A couple of months after that, myself and Utebs, I hit the Penuel Show. Over 100,000 subscribers. And it's thanks to you guys and it's thanks to the support. Our guests, who have been absolutely amazing. But with the guests, with myself, with the crew, if it weren't for you, the viewers, every single viewer, every person that shares our content, people like Colbert on Twitter that shares our content, posting on your WhatsApp status, the links, posting on your Instagram status, posting short clips on TikTok, sharing in your WhatsApp groups, speaking out there, people that make certain videos to review some of our conversations. You agree, you disagree, you think Penuel is captured, you think Penuel is stupid, Penuel thinks he's too smart, he's interrupting guests, whatever. Like, all of that builds myself and our platforms into what they are, and we appreciate you. We don't appreciate the trolls because they distract us, but we appreciate the constructive criticism. Sound is not too great. Pen, can you please fix this? Plain, please do that. I read all of that stuff, and like a machine, like an algorithm, I'm constantly programming myself to sharpen my craft so that I can become a world-class podcaster, vodcaster, conversationalist, so that you guys can benefit. Because the more people we uplift, the better. Sandile Shezi says in that sit down that a true leader creates other leaders, not followers. A true leader creates other leaders, and some of us are trying to inspire and spark you guys. Look at Julius Malema and what he did. He speaks about Peter Mokaba, Nelson Mandela back in the day, that they inspired him to be what he is today. And Julius Malema have inspired some of us to be brave your Nhlanhla Lux, your Penuel, the Black Pens, and others. Look at Tupac Shakur back in the day. You look at other young leaders, Robert Sobugwe, Mangaliso, Stephen Bantubigo, Che Guevara, who was young at the time. He was a medical student, decided to fight and become an activist. Some of us are also trying to make our mark. And we need to inspire as many of you as possible to rise up, because there are kids out there smarter than us, faster than us, more creative, more innovative, more brave, willing to take more risks, have access to bigger resources, bigger networks, who can do amazing things. And we hope that in their journeys, we can play a role, no matter how small. And they can once tell the story of, one day I was watching the Penuel Show. One day I was listening to Penuel the Black Pen. I was sparked by this conversation. I came up with this idea. The number of DMs I've gotten of people thanking myself, DJ Spoo, for inspiring them to start hustles, start businesses, start podcasts, try and make money, get off their bums and hustle. Some of the men that I speak to are like, I'm going to provide for my kids even if I don't have much. Penuel has taught me that even if I don't have money, I can still provide to my kids in skills, in story, in traveling with them, etc. That is the work that we are trying to do. It's over 2 a.m. in Seoul in South Korea, boy. I have to go and sleep because I'm traveling. Just want to show you that it's really nighttime here. This is the window of our little guest house. That's Seoul outside there, boy. Myself and Umamsi, we walked 25 kilometers today. No cap. 25 kilometers today. Traveling in the subways. We figured out the subways, buying tickets. The subways are so dope. Color code, numbers, etc. Anyways, that's a story for another day. Again, to my entire team, to Debza, who's believed in me for so long, and for allowing me to use Tribal Media House, which is an amazing production house, to squat there and create the Penuel Show, which is affecting people's lives. I have to give a shout out to DJ Sbu, the Hustler's Corner, Justice Shabalala, who's created Justify's own platform. Have to give a shout out to Sia Mangena, Slim, Black Slim, Ubuntu, the guys at Amped, who have created another home for myself to be able to film there as well. I love you guys, man. I appreciate you guys. I can't stress this enough. It's because of you guys that we exist, and we appreciate you. See you guys soon. Cheers.